Hello everyone, and welcome back to another preview video for the Tribute to Normandy 44 DLC for Steel Division 2. This time we're looking at the 716th Infantry, which in Normandy 44 was most likely the worst division out of all divisions there. Essentially on par with 352nd. And it might be one of the worst divisions in Steel Division 2 again, guys, as if we look into it, this division representing the guys at the beaches of 716th Infantry, they don't receive any tank support. And that brings them, in that regard, even lower than the Finnish. And that's gonna be interesting. So let's look what they have to offer outside of the tank tab. As we go into the recon tab, where they have the BMW R75. They have the Kanalwache, which is an interesting unit here, bringing around one automatic rifle, one MP40, and a Boys. So interesting unit with 4 availability in A phase, representing the guys overlooking the channel. Having a Boys anti-tank rifle is pretty interesting here as well. It's a disheartened recon squad. I mean, it's at least super cheap, even cheaper than Aufklärers, so it's affordable recon. And the Boys has some use cases, though it's one of the worst anti-tank rifles in the game by a good bit, so it's not an amazing unit there. But they can do decent jobs. They don't come in BMWs, so they are not super fast, but at least they can do something. You then get from B onward Aufklärers, which at least have some 222s next to them as well. So from B onward you have some armored vehicles here, and that can help if you can fit it in. Reiter Kosaken, which are pretty cost efficient recon as well. 12-man strength for 20 points, that's quite nice. That's a cost-efficient recon squad for sure, with good optics and very exceptional stealth. So a pretty decent infiltration squad as well. Right, Kosaken here, pretty decent squad. Spätrupp coming from B onward can come in half tracks. Outside of that, classic Spätrupp, nothing special here. And from B onward, you get some SDKFZs, 250/9 in the recon squad slot as well, at least, just as some 233s in B only. So that might give you still some decent recon options here. Kanalwachen, Kübel, and DMA, together with the Reiter Kosaken in A as pretty decent one, and then Aufklärers and 222s, SDKZ 250/9s, and SPW 233 in B phase. Though slots are hard to come by. If you would have one more 1 or 2 cost slot here, this would be a lot easier to fill. This way you will have to do some decision making on how to fill that out. In the infantry tab, we have some interesting units as well, starting with some Kriegsmarine Flaktruppen here. 15 hit point squad for 15 points. At least they have that efficiently down. They are disheartened, but at least they are a lot of manpower for cheap. So they will be a good meat shield, though obviously with the buffs on HE damage and the debuff, especially of the retreat bonus, it will be not as easily to use as it had been on previous patches. Another strong 15-point unit, though, are the Kosaken Pioneers. You only get 1 card in A, and it's only the normal German Pioneer availability, but they are an 8-man TNT squadron with an LMG for 15 points. So they're really, really cheap. Infantry, they are super cost efficient for their price point. A 15-point unit with TNT and an LMG is kind of unheard of, especially on not disheartened, and 8 hit points is not that bad for it either. So this is a really strong unit for the price point, but you obviously don't get as many, though one of the best cards in this deck. Osttruppen, 15 points, disheartened, DP, pretty standard, good availability, can take them on when wet if you want to get some extra firepower of them. Not the most amazing, it could be worse though. Grenadier here, they're also on 15 points now, so that's solid. Yeah, 15-point DP unit for sure, not bad. Grenadier, 15V, 20 points Grenadier basically. Yep, MG 34, not something super special here. They are disheartened though, so they are just worse Grenadiers, and that for sure is not great for 20 points. Italienische Freiwillige, interesting unit. They have a Panzerfaust, they have Berettas, they have a automatic rifle, but it's a bad automatic rifle. Like the Browning is not a great one. So the Italian Italienische Freiwillige, or the Italian volunteers here. Decent 9-man squad. The 2 Berettas give them pretty decent firepower together with Browning and CQC. The Panzerfaust, they're quite nice as well. They at least have some mid-range firepower, though it's not great mid-range power. This kind of is a CQC squad in disguise, as on CQC, 2 Berettas plus the Browning, especially if you just hit it slightly above 100 meters, and that like 100 to 150 meter sweet spot that the Berettas have. Together with the Browning, they hit quite hard, and that is pretty decent for a 20-point squad. It's not the most amazing 20-point squad we ever have seen, but it's a decent one. Kriegsmarine Infantry, 12-man squad, but pretty terrible weapons. At least an IT grenade. Okay, as they have 12-man, they have an LMG, they have 2 submachine guns, but both of those are kind of the worst of the bunch. Like the MG 0815 has even worse rate of fire, for example, and otherwise same stats as the Browning, and the Browning is an automatic rifle, means it can fire below 100 meter range. The MG 018/15 can't do that, the 0815, so yeah, pretty terrible at that. Kosakin, on the other hand, 420 points, pretty good squad again. Like, that's another really, really strong infantry unit. They have PPSH, they have SVTs, they have a DP, so all good weapons there. DP28 is not the best of the bunch there, but the SVT 18 and co, pretty good there. The SVT 40 and the PPSH both good in their category. 12 hit points for 20 points, always good as well. PDRD, pretty good as well. So yeah, they are a pretty good SVT squad here, and that's really what makes them pretty good for 20 points. So strong 20-point squad here. Yeah, in the mid-range, and pretty strong, solid on the CQC as well, though with DP28 not being an automatic rifle, not amazing in CQC, but it can do everything fine. Then you have Pioneer Führer, which are classic. Panzergrenadier Führer, coming from B to C phase, can bring in some funky little units like the SDKFZ 251/9, and especially the weird little super slow pack 35/36 half track here, one of those reverted French ones, which are just abysmally slow, but you could do this for the memes. Sturm Pioneer, decent here with veterancy, and yeah, half tracks here once more, including the horrible ones, which don't come for free, so you shouldn't get them. Just get the other ones. Grenadier Führer, standard as well, with standard availability, no transports here. Pioneer 15V, just being normal German Pioneers in the loadout, disheartened, but at least with better availability, and pretty great availability, like even better availability than no-vet normal Pioneers, at which point they deal more damage than them, as long as they are unstressed, so that is interesting. Especially in B phase, an interesting card here, with 13 on 1 vet. Yeah, potentially worthwhile unit. And then you have Kriegsmarine Führer, which are a really worthwhile unit. 30 points, radio, smoke, double MG34. One of your best units here. Your only double MG unit in A, as from B phase onward, you also get 1 card of Panzer Grenadiers. So infantry tab really not a weak one. No really OP infantry squad here, but a lot of strong ones, and cost-efficient ones especially. Kosakin Pioneer, not bad. Panzer Grenadier with some decent stuff here. Kriegsmarine Führer, pretty good. The Pioneers, card efficient. Kosakin, pretty strong. Italienische Freiwillige can be pretty decent. It's nothing amazing, but it's pretty solid. And you have a lot of slots, so you really can bring a lot of cheap infantry around. Ostruppen for 15 points nowadays, worth it once more as well. So this is an interesting infantry slot. Then we jump over the tank slot, which is just non-existent, and obviously a massive, massive weakness. And then we come to support tab, where you have 4 different heavy MGs. You have flamethrowers, you have some 50mm mortars in different shapes here. Kriegsmarine Küstenpolizei, a really solid discipline squad to help out with your disheartened units. 15-point discipline squad, really strong. Obviously not super card efficient, but 1 vet with an automatic rifle with 2 SMGs for 15 points, 8-man strength. That's a solid squad. And yeah, then you have all the MGs. You have some decent support weapons here from 8 phase onward with this SDKFZ 1351 150mm, which is basically kind of like a guerrilla. And yeah, a pretty solid support weapon here as well. Now exists in 21st Panzer as well. And your support tab at least gets you some armored vehicles. You get some Pak 43s as well, Pak 40s, Pak 43 coming only in A phase, Pak 40 in all phases, Pak 38 in all phases as well, upvetted here with some solid availability on veterancy as well. And then Marder 1 H39, based on the 39 chassis here, which with a Pak 40 is a pretty solid weapon as well. And the SDKFZ on the slow French half-track here as well, with another Pak 40, so you at least have some Pak 40, mobile Pak 40 options, but obviously your amount of armored vehicles in this division is really limited. You have these support weapons, you have these Marders and the S307 here. You have some armored vehicles from B phase onward, but in A phase you get really little, with only some others. And this support weapon here, and then auto cannons are not as strong in B and C phase anymore as they are in A phase. Same goes for the 233, so they're not as easy to use there. But you at least have some stuff here. AA tab, pretty solid as well. You'll get some really mediocre autocannons here with the Flak 38 20mm, but you also get some pretty affordable long-range AA with the French 75mm AA here, which doesn't have AT shells though, so you can't use it as a makeshift anti-tank weapon. Flak feeling, always nice, and one cut of Flak 37 88mm, which is always pretty decent as well. So solid AA tab, not amazing, especially because no mobile armored options here, but you at least get some decent ground-based ones as well. And then artillery tab is really not that great at the moment. If something changes here, that would be good in my eyes, because a division like this relies on artillery. And at the moment, it's just not, like, all of these artillery pieces are decent. The off-map is an okay one as well, but this one, yes, it has decent rate of fire. It's an okay artillery piece for sure. The Czech LEFH 14/19, it's and the radio version of the M30 here, pretty fine as well. Same goes for the radio version of the A19. So especially the M30 is a lot cooler with radios compared to the Soviets, which get it without. The big French artillery piece here, only having 3 rounds per minute, not amazing. Pretty expensive, really bad availability. So, and this deck relies, without tanks, like the tank thing is a really big cut. And it doesn't have super OP CQC infantry like the Finnish or anything like that. So you kind of need your artillery to move forward, and it does allow for it with availability. The power of the artillery itself, though, at the moment, a bit lackluster. And you really need it. So yeah, not the biggest fan of that. And the air tab is okay, but you don't really have a good bomber option. And yes, you have the AT cluster versions, which help you defend, but it's a kind of similar issue to Normandy 44, where you just can't really push with this deck. Like, you don't have any tanks to push behind, you don't have any amazing CQC infantry to push behind, and you don't really get the support weapons to push behind either. Arguably, maybe even having better artillery than this in Steel Division Normandy 44. So it's a tough deck to use and advance with, and it's really gonna be one of the hardest decks to play out of this DLC. I kind of see the flavor. I like the Kanalwache, for example, as a cool unit. The infantry has some interesting stuff for sure to offer as well, but I like always these makeshift weapons. I like them in Steel Division 2. Normandy 44, I like them here in Steel Division 2 as well. So that is cool. The Marder IH39 looks pretty dope as well, though in fact it's basically just a normal Marder with 50 impact 40 here for 50 points, so it's not super special in that regard either. It has good availability and all, so it's like all of that is not bad. It's just gonna be really hard to advance with this deck, and I wish the artillery would be a bit better, but maybe we, yeah. Something that if Eugen could buff anything, I would like it to see to be here. Also, at the moment, this MG is not represented. That would be cool as well, Eugen. Give us SMG if you already model it. That might still happen. We're gonna see about that. That said, guys, thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next one. We're gonna go into an Allied one next again. And if you haven't left a subscription down below and you want to see more Steel Division 2 content in your life, consider leaving a subscription down below. Bye bye, and have a great